Just a PSA before we start. Do not watch unless you've watched up to Selfishness versus Selflessness Redux. We will be covering almost every major event in the Sanders Sides canon so far. Enjoy.
Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about a YouTuber named Thomas Sanders, and more specifically, his ongoing series called Sanders Sides.
Sanders Sides was a series Thomas created on his channel in 2016, which surrounds the character of Thomas Sanders and the fragments of his personality known as his sides, as he deals with all sorts of dilemmas. Originally based on characters from his vines, the three sides that the series begins with are Logan, Thomas's intellectual side, who represents every fact Thomas has ever learned; Roman, Thomas's fanciful side, who represents all his hopes, dreams, and creativity; and finally Patton, Thomas's moral side, who represents his sense of right and wrong.
As the series progresses, more sides are introduced. By the third episode, we've met Virgil, Thomas's anxiety. Much later on, we meet Janus, or Deceit, who represents Thomas's self-preservation, denial, and his potential to be an honest or dishonest person. The side most recently introduced is Remus, who represents Thomas's intrusive thoughts and R-rated creativity. Patton, Roman, and Logan are considered the light sides, those who Thomas believes lead him on the path of being a good person, whereas Remus and Janus are considered the dark sides, those who embody qualities that Thomas thinks can make him a bad person.
Virgil is different. In the episode entitled Dealing with Intrusive Thoughts, Virgil reveals that he used to be a dark side.
Myself. I thought that I would be able to protect you from them.
The dark sides?
The others. I thought I knew how to handle them.
Oh, well, I think we're all trying to figure them out for now. It'll take some time to figure everything out.
Yeah, but I should know better.
Isn't that kind of unfair? Why should you be held to a different standard than any other side?
Because I was one of them.
But in the canon events of the series, Virgil is accepted as a light side during the episode called Accepting Anxiety. So we as an audience have to assume that Virgil was a dark side when he was first introduced. This transfer from one group to another makes Virgil unique and a truly neutral side.
Each light side has a dark side that opposes them. This idea was established when Janus was introduced, as Deceit is a direct opposition to morality, and has now been further proven by Remus and Roman, who are a literal split between the bad and good aspects of creativity. We have yet to meet Logan's opposition. Also, every side represents a color. An example of this is Logan, who is dark blue. This was established very early on when Thomas released this poster, where the sides were drawn in one color each. On top of this, in the top left corner of the poster are the words Sanders Sides. The word sides is in all white, but each letter in the word Sanders is in one color of the rainbow.
This has resulted in the rainbow theory. The theory states that the sides each represent one of the 7 colors of the rainbow. We have met 6 sides so far, and their colors, in order rainbow, are as follows. Roman is red, orange is unknown, Janus is yellow, Remus is green, Patton is light blue, Logan is dark blue, and Virgil is purple. The dark side / light side duos are opposite colors on the color wheel. Patton and Janus are light blue and yellow, Roman and Remus are red and green. As we said earlier, Logan is the only light side left who has not yet met his opposition. The only color without a side is orange, and this is the opposite of dark blue or Logan's color. The rainbow theory also proves the point that Virgil is a neutral side, as purple is the only color listed without an apparent opposite.
What we want to talk about today is, what exactly does the orange side represent?
Theories regarding the orange side's identity have circulated since Janus's arrival, so there are several ideas as to what the side could represent. In this video, we will be disproving the top 3 theories. First up is ignorance. Sure, it is the direct opposite of logic, but after meeting Janus and Remus, it is clear Thomas is not picking the obvious choice.
One of the major factors that debunks many theories regarding what the orange side represents is whether the word is said in canon or not. Before Janus is introduced, the word deceit was never said. The word lies is used, but never specifically deceit. Whenever a side begins to say deceit, their hands cover their mouths, not of their own accord. This is Deceit hiding himself from Thomas, and he does this for all the dark sides.
So a theory like ignorance is invalidated immediately because a side, or Thomas, has already said it. Also, if the orange side was ignorance, he would quite literally be an idiot, and this would be far less menacing than any other dark side. It seems that Thomas continues to up the ante in terms of menace/scare factor for each time a dark side is introduced, including Virgil. Ignorance would simply not be a show-stopping final dark side.
The second theory we are debunking is the concept of Virgil being the orange side and therefore Logan's opposition. This can be disproven several ways. First, yes, Virgil has established himself as a dark side, but he's also demonstrated that, though he has the powers of a dark side, he isn't one anymore by using the past tense when he confesses to Thomas. He cannot be the new dark side if he considers himself a light side now.
Second, although anxiety does oppose logic, it also opposes every other side. Anxiety may lead to the denial of logic, but it can also cause your creativity to lessen by causing you to fear a negative reaction to your work, and can cloud your judgment when making decisions. Finally, on a simpler note, Virgil's color has already been established as purple, and there is no valid reason for it to change to orange. This change would also invalidate the rainbow theory.
The final theory is that the new side is a light side, perhaps to oppose Virgil and leaving Logan as the neutral side. As has been confirmed, there are 3 dark sides, 3 light sides, and a neutral side. Virgil is clearly the neutral side, with his lack of direct opposition coupled with the fact that he is the only side that has been dark and light. Therefore, it is Logan who must have an opposing force, as he is the last non-neutral side. Given that he is undoubtedly a light side, the final side must be dark to some degree, and most likely worse than those we have already met. This marks the beginning of our evidence portion of the video. We believe the orange side will most likely represent a combination of wrath and sloth, aka anger.
When a side's name is said with the intent to summon by Thomas or Lightside, they are pulled from Thomas's mind palace to the room Thomas is in. For a reason unknown to the audience, the dark sides are unable to summon other sides outside of the mind palace.
In the mind palace, the summoning rules don't apply, as seen with Patton and Janice, who both summon while there.
We are back in the mind palace, and that means I can summon anything.
Your first witness. I would like to call Logan to the stand. For David.
Also, in the mind palace, the sides can speak freely and without Thomas or the other side's knowledge. An example of this is Virgil and Janice's conversation at the end of embarrassing phases.
Just be sure to keep up that personal growth, Virgil. Who knows? Maybe soon you could be rid of us all.
Oh, what the?
With this knowledge, we can assume the word for what the orange side represents has not been spoken in canon. Therefore, the new side cannot represent wrath, sloth, or even anger. We would like to propose that the new side represents rage, a synonym for anger which has never been uttered in the series.
After rewatching the series a couple of times over, we compiled clips of many of the instances where Logan acts out in rage or brings up anything to do with sloth, excluding outbursts of the word falsehood.
You make one mistake, and this is what happens.
All of this because Patton can't let go of one person? Logan, can you stop? Please?
No! Ow! Oh, what? No! No one takes you seriously.
Because he'll never get anything done.
No! You procrastinate a lot.
Oh my goodness gracious, I can't believe I have to
things
deal with you two. Like, seriously.
No, you can't play with us! Your mom misses you.
As you can see, there are multiple instances where Logan becomes enraged significantly more than the other sides, but Logan isn't the only evidence we have. In the newest episode, at the time of us writing this script, Selfishness versus Selflessness Redux, there are a few references to the orange side. This includes a figure with no features next to the other dark sides in the thumbnail of the video, and a series of orange numbers in the corner of the fighting game. The numbers are 07734, which when typed on a calculator and read upside down spell hello.
The damning piece of evidence is the Final Fantasy VI spoof. At the bottom of the screen, a list of actions are presented for Thomas to choose. He picks items, but if you pause the video to see the list, the option above items is Blinding Rage. This is not an option found in the real game, but rather placed there by Thomas. This, partnered with the clips from other videos, proves the new side to be Rage.
If the orange side represents rage, we must understand that this means a mix of wrath and sloth, as stated earlier. This combination can only be proven by digging into part 2 of our evidence, Dantes Inferno. Before we get into why the orange side is rage, we must start way back when our favorite emo's name was revealed. In the episode Accepting Anxiety Part 2, Anxiety reveals his name to be Virgil, something very different from the names of the other 3 sides we already knew.
In a behind-the-scenes video from 2017, Thomas, Joan, and Talon explain the reasoning behind the names of the three light sides and Virgil. The two simplest were Patton and Logan, based off of pathos, emotional appeal, and logos, logical appeal. Roman was a bit more complicated, stemming from romanticism, the qualities of a romantic person, and the romantic movement, which resulted in a large number of literary works surrounding knights, fairy tales, and princes. Virgil was the most complicated.
Yeah. So the one we had the toughest time with was anxiety. But we also wanted it to be different.
Yeah, I wanted it to fit with Roman somewhat.
After much searching, because I really liked a name starting with the letter V. We found Virgil. I have no idea how we stumbled upon it, but I looked up the definition.
Latin origin unknown meaning.
Of unknown meaning, but it is theorized to be deviated from vigil.
Yes.
Vigil, vigilance, that's great.
There was a Roman poet named Virgil.
Yes.
And on top of that character pops up in Dantes Inferno.
Yes.
And he escorts
as a guide.
He escorts Dante through the underworld.
After hearing the odd source of Virgil's rare name, we decided that Dante's Inferno was something worth looking into. What we found was an astonishing parallel between the Divine Comedy and Sanders Sides. The story is based in Catholicism, as we believe Sanders Sides itself is to a degree. To summarize, the ancient Roman poet Virgil guides a man named Dante through the 9 circles of hell. We had been going back and forth for a few days between sloth and wrath as the Orange Side's identity when we decided to read through the descriptions of each circle of hell, as well as some quotes and passages within the story itself. The 5th circle caught our eyes right away.
In Dante's Inferno, the 5th circle of hell is known as anger or rage, and it is the final circle of hell associated with the 7 deadly sins. It just so happens that this is the only circle that encompasses 2 of the 7 deadly sins, whereas all of the others exhibit only 1. Rage is both the sin of wrath and the sin of sloth. Dante describes wrath as anger that is expressed, and sloth as anger that is repressed. In Dante's Inferno and Greek mythology, the river Styx was a river in which heroes could dip themselves to gain impenetrable skin. In Greek, the word Styx means the hateful.
The river flowed through the entrance of the 5th circle that Dante and Virgil observed during their travel through hell. The Divine Comedy describes the circle as a marsh, with an area of land and a lake which marks the end of the river Styx. There are 2 groups of people in rage, the wrathful and the sullen. The wrathful, those who express their rage, are on land, forced to fight and tear each other apart for the rest of time. And the sullen, those below the surface of the water, are forced to drown for eternity, fighting to get to the air above.
Rage is considered a deadly sin because if unchecked, it can lead to the physical and/or emotional injury of others and the sinner as well. We see this with Logan, a victim of repressed rage. When he becomes so angry, he throws something at Roman. Logan has also hurt the other sides emotionally when he snaps in a rage. This cycle of Logan getting angry, repressing that rage, and finally snapping is a trend that repeats itself in almost every episode.
According to Dante, anger is the righteous desire for justice perverted into immediate rage for action. We once again see this in Logan, his desire to be an unbiased opinion that comes to a fair decision, outweighed by his rage when he isn't listened to or outright ignored by the other sides. It is the final circle of corrupted love before the circle of pure malice and is consistently pictured as orange.
Finally, the Divine Comedy marks Virgil and Dante's trip through the 5th circle of hell as, quote, the beginning of Dante's awareness of his own sin. Upon the arrival of the dark sides, Thomas came to the realization that he is not as pure of a person as he once believed. If rage is introduced as the final side and shows Thomas the countless bouts of rage he's repressed, / the inherent laziness he possesses, it will cause Thomas to truly face his sins.
In conclusion, Sanders Sides is an incredibly tangled series with complex storylines, plots, and themes like biblical canon, Roman poetry, and Dante's Inferno.
And we can only hope that our countless hours of research and 7-page-long script can convince you that the orange side represents rage.